Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing an Astra guide on Split, and she's a very good controller paired alongside a Viper, and she's got some very good walls and things you can do on this map. So yeah, let's get right into it. So to start off on A, the default smokes you're going to do is just CT and Heaven, like this. And these are just the two main smokes you're going to be doing. And a reason why Astra is so good on this map is because she's so adaptable and she's so easy to put presence in other areas when she doesn't even need to be there. And that's because her coverage is infinite. Like I could put like a star backside on B, for example, to just throw the enemies off or bait them out, you know. And also, if I'm lurking or I want to do like a ramp sit or something, or I want to take care of when you fake a smoke, for example, I just popped it there by accident, but let's say I want to just cover ramps temporarily. When I pull my star back, as you can see, it pops up a little smoke, temporarily, so I can show you kind of when this goes away. So you can see I can cross in the time that is up for, and they won't see me cross at all. So anyone holding from Heaven is going to have to completely guess where I can be. And you can also use this to play mind games with whoever you're playing against as well. So let's say I could be on B and I could put like a fake star here, and I can maybe let my teammate make a little bit of noise and I could pop it up. And then they can go back or something like that. And then with a stun and a suck, you can kind of use it to clear any angle. So you could use it here, you could use it right there. If Raze wants to just go straight into elbow and do like a long kind of satchel, you can do one kind of back here. You could do one in that off angle here, here, and here. And these are the main places I recommend, kind of not there. I'll pull it back. Behind here, not on top. But you can do like a suck there, or you can stun it. You can stun all of those kind of angles, clear some space for your team and whatnot. So yeah, you always want to be combing where you're putting the stars and what you're going to use. Another thing is you could use your stun when they have the bomb on it as well. And obviously you can't break it, there's nothing they could do to stop it. So let's say they're on the bomb, you can just suck it, and this actually takes them off the bomb and stops them from completely defusing in general. So you can just use that to completely play time and win the round for your team. And if you have both, even better. And I always recommend it would be suck first, and then on the second tap, after it's stunned, after they're sucked, then you stun it, and then you can maybe jiggle peek it or something, because if they're kind of around the bomb area, they're going to be stunned anyway, and you can just win the round on time. So yeah, that's kind of how I would play it. But for an attack wall, there's a few walls I like to do. So the first one will be one like this, kind of, not there. It'll be like here, but bear in mind they can kind of jump down without being seen. So to kind of counter this, you can kind of play here off your wall, and they're not going to clear this at all. So you can kind of play here off your wall, it's really strong. Or you can just make sure you tell your team that they can jump down, but this means they can't peek you anywhere from Heaven at all. They can only kind of jump down here and peek you, like so. But if you're playing here, it's a really strong wall. On another wall, if you have a bit of Heaven control, you could actually, I like to do one kind of like this. I think this is kind of a good wall, because it blocks off a little bit of Heaven, and it means I can only kind of swing from one side, and it blocks off CT as well. So you can just kind of take all of this space up. You can maybe hold from here, have someone watching here, maybe have one can hold across, you can have one holding there, and if they come out they can just kill them. You can kind of be holding for that Heaven peeker, so it's a really good wall you can do. Or this wall's a bit boring, and the big flaw is you can easily be swung from it, but it means you don't have to, you can see them if they jump down, and it's impossible for them to jump down without you seeing them. So you can Astra wall a bit deeper, but I don't really recommend doing this unless you have someone kind of playing here, to be honest. So yeah, those are the three walls I'd like to do on A for my ult, but this wall I don't tend to do very often, or whatsoever. I think this wall is kind of bad unless you have someone playing up top rafters. So yeah. For attack on B, this is quite simple. The main two smokes you're going to be doing is you're going to pop one here and one directly here. And this is just for CT and Heaven. And for your stun suck, again, you can kind of save it for the plant if you wanted to. So let's say it's planted here, You can kind of suck them. Maybe if you want, you can kind of swing off it if you feel like doing it. But if you kind of want to play time and you're not feeling confident, you can just kind of let them tap again because that forces them off the bomb. You can kind of stun this area if you wanted to as well. Or you can stun like up top this box. It kind of depends on what info you have really. But yeah, you can kind of just stun certain areas for your team. Here's also one I like to do as well, just because a lot of people like to play a little off angle there too. But most of the time on B, you know, you're going to be saving it for the bomb. But if you have limited info, you're going to kind of need to use it just to clear a little bit of space. So you just have to pick 2 spots and then there'll be 2 things less that your team need to really clear. So that's kind of how I play B. For an Astral, to be honest, there's not really a lot I'd like to do for an Astral. But you can kind of just do something like this if you wanted to. This isn't too bad. I'm kind of just making them up as I go along, but this is kind of if you want to plant early. This is not too shabby of a wall. This does give them a little bit of space on the site here, but it kind of like gives you a lot of free space. If you're doing a wall like this, I recommend just planting safe because it can kind of just like, you know, it can kind of take a gamble and be annoying and try and swing that, but remember they can't really hear you, so you should be all good. Another one you could do is kind of like, again, like the one I showed you on A even. You can kind of do like a really deep one like this, or you could go even deeper, but again, I don't really recommend doing this wall, but you know, if they're kind of playing around your other wall, if they've outplayed you once, feel free to kind of do that. And another wall you can do, you know, this just means they can't really, you know, they can only really get to one spot, but they'll kind of be phasing in and out of the wall as they're jumping down, so you can kind of maybe get a free kill on them. But this kind of just shuts down any sort of heaven like pressure unless they go straight around rafters. But that first wall is kind of the main wall I like to do. If you want to do like a really, you know, straight on wall as well, you can kind of just go here and wall like this too. This isn't a bad wall, and this is good, especially if you pair it up with a little Viper orb or something. Maybe Viper can fake a wall A or something. Maybe you can make a little bit of presence mid and you can come back Astra wall this. Viper can, you know, orb this area and you can just take the space really easily. Do a little bit of presence, a little bit of pressure around the map, which is why Astra's really good. Yeah, that's kind of what I'll do for a B exec. I'm going to show you a few little mid things now, and then we'll go on to defense. So for mid, this is kind of where Astra's really strong, because you can kind of get very hands-on with her, as there's just so much flexibility for this agent. So firstly, like with Omen, you can kind of, you can smoke vent if you wanted to, if you just want to do like a really basic kind of mid to B exec. Or you could throw in a few little feints. Obviously, you can stun this side as well if they have a Sage wall and you think they could cross, or they have like a really strong Viper wall. If they have any util that allows them to basically cross and play here and not be seen, or you just didn't peek this at the start of the round, you can use the concuss there to just clear it. Another smoke which I personally like to do is I like to actually smoke a male. And then I like to kind of take vent, maybe create a little bit of presence vent, and then you can like double back up into your smoke and then take B as well. But at the same time, you could also use this smoke for going just straight vent into A, vice versa. And maybe you can, like, as you're coming up as well, obviously pop a fake smoke just to take this area, you know, and then once that pops, your team can kind of play around it with you. So yeah, that's why you can kind of get hands on with her, mainly because, you know, you can take your stars back and it'll pop up as a smoke and you get it back, and it's like a fake smoke, because at the same time the enemies don't know, like they think that could be a smoke, and then, you know, you could surprise them and it'll just disappear, as long as you're common everything with your team so they know what's going on, because I've seen countless Astros kind of put up fake smokes and not comment, and then their teammates kind of die as a result of it. So yeah, just make sure you're common when you're fake smoking and when you're really smoking. So yeah, that's kind of what I'll do. At the same time, you could also smoke vent, push into male, and then double back up into vent if you want, but I would mainly do this with a large group of people, because a lot of the time people do like to retake from vent, so if you're winning that fight, it's much easier to win that with a bunch of people, as vent is quite like place where they can be kind of holding a lot of places. Like they can kind of creep up in any of these 4 spots. They could play on this box, you know. They could play on either of these boxes actually, or they could just be set out with like a shotgun or something. So you know, if many of you are there, you have flashes and whatnot, you can kind of just force that space if you wanted to. So yeah, that's kind of how I play mid on Astra. Onto defense. So for defending on A, there's a few things you can do. Obviously, just a very default setup would just be to put like 1 smoke there, and then either here or here. You can maybe use your suck or your stun. I don't recommend using 3 stars like this, as Astra only's got 4 stars. So you can kind of just put a smoke here, and then if you hear them like kind of funneling out towards here, you could just whack on a stun and maybe get a few free kills. But make sure you have a teammate on site playing with you if you're doing a play like this. And also, like, again, the reason I don't want to use 3 stars is if you use 2 stars, let's say they're doing a B split, you can maybe smoke off mid or something, and then you can have like just 1 star for yourself, which is kind of like a flexible star. But if you want to take A main, I recommend doing this with a teammate. This is going to be your go-to smoke, and then you're going to have a star here. And I am going to kind of show you a cool little thing you can do in a second. But yeah, this smoke could kind of just take a lot of A main, and then obviously this star is good because it's not in the smoke radius, so you're chilling. And if you hear them, you can kind of just stun or circle them, or however you want to play it. And you can maybe get 1 and maybe back up, or your teammate can play off that star. But if you are certain it's going to be an A hit, this is a really good way to, you know, catch them off guard, because you can kind of put like smoke here, and you know, most players aren't really going to just peek out the smoke like this, you know, they're going to kind of peek out kind of like this, because this smoke kind of still covers them a little bit, and they're going to be wanting to isolate angles, you know. So you can literally do that, and then you can quickly just, you know, stun and suck. And that's just like, if they're rushing, you're just going to kill them and you're going to win the round instantly for your team. So if you're dead certain it's going to be an A hit, you can do that setup. The only bad side is if you've read it wrong, you only have 1 star now that you can kind of use at any given moment. And you can always take both of those stars back and use them later in the round, but just if they're going to rush a different site, you only have 1 star to really help your team, and that's probably going to be to smoke off a choke point. So yeah, that's kind of how I'd play A, to be honest. So for B, not really anything too complex. Just put 1 star here and 1 star here, and obviously you're going to smoke, and then you're going to suck off this star. And then with them 2 stars, you have 2 flex stars, so you can use to help your team. So if they're calling an A hit, you can throw up a smoke. If it's mid, you can throw up a smoke mid. So yeah, that's just quite flexible, so you're not really restricted. You can kind of play wherever you'd like. But for B, that's kind of what I would do most times. For mid, I don't really recommend holding mid too much, but you can kind of like improvise mid. There's not really a set way to play it, but the main like thing is you're always going to be putting like a smoke around this area most of the time, especially if you kind of want to fight for this space. But if you kind of want to give them a different space, if you have a raise, maybe you can throw a star here, and you can kind of like throw a suck, and if you can nade them from B if he's on B, that'd be super good if you know they're going to push up into heaven. Now you could also kind of throw a little stun or something here if you know you have a teammate close by that can swing off the ramp, swing off those boxes, vent, and get a kill or something. So mid you kind of want to play by ear, but yet again, I wouldn't really position yourself mid on Astra, to be honest, because you're best holding a site, because you can kind of like suck and then swing off or whatever. This is kind of your Viper's job, and I wouldn't really play Astra without a Viper too often on this map. It can be done. I just have a preference for Omen, but Astra's definitely doable as a solo smoker. But if your Viper's holding mid and you can hold a site, that's kind of like ideal, to be honest. That's like absolutely perfect on this map. Astra or Omen. I'm just going to end this video by showing you a few more Astra walls you can do. We're going to skip back onto attack, and this is a good wall you can do. And this kind of just covers off all of here. This is a super good wall, it covers CT, and this is really good for a B split. So yeah, make sure you're doing this wall if you're B splitting, because it covers off this and covers off CT. So yeah. Now retake walls for B, it kind of depends where your team are playing. If your team are all on site, you know, you can kind of just wall off B main and then fight backside, maybe put like a pool or something down or whatever. So you can put something back here or not. Maybe a little concuss or a little pull and just fire that guy and then stick and defuse. Another wall you can do, if the bomb's kind of it's planted safe, you can just kind of wall off straight away like this. And this is a really good wall, and you can kind of defuse, and then your teammate can kind of hold this side of the wall for you, like this. Yeah. If you're stacked with numbers around this side, this is a super good place to play. Always have someone watching this side of the wall as well, remember? And you can get that stick diffused off easily with this wall. So for a wall on A, for retake, this is kind of the best wall I can kind of think of. It's just around here. This is a solid wall for retaking, to be honest. You can do it a little bit further back. Maybe put a little star here or something. Just wall off like this. This is a solid wall. And this wall's really solid because it cuts off all of B main. And if you actually have a Yoru or something, you can really pair this up with a Yoru ult. Yoru ult can easily just get back here and not be heard. And then you could just basically swing everyone and they're all dead. The Astra will kind of cut sound, so it's actually super strong to use that with the Yoru ult. I don't know if you've seen, there's a clip of a guy called Marty from Carmine Corp doing this, and he actually got 4. I can't remember what team it was against, but it was probably one of the most intricate plays I've ever seen off an Astra wall in my whole life. So that Astra wall is really strong. I don't really recommend doing too many other walls. You could obviously just wall off A main, kind of like this, a little bit, if you wanted to, but I don't really think it's as good, to be honest. You could kind of maybe tilt it a little bit back actually, so this is open. But yeah, if you have a Yoru ult can definitely get into that area, and you know, the enemies are going to have no idea, and it's just going to be the freest round you'll ever have. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. In terms of the Astra guides, I will definitely want to do one on Lotus. I don't know what other map could do bind, but yeah, let me know what other maps you want to see with Astra, because in my opinion, excluding Icebox and Breeze, she's playable on the rest of the maps. So yeah, let me know what you want to see. Lotus is definitely going to be coming soon, and see you next time. Peace.